Bismillah, walhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, everyone. Welcome back to the ASI Weekly Q&A with Shaykh Akram Nadwi on every Thursday at 6 p.m. BST. Without further ado, let's begin. We've got quite a few questions today, so we'll begin. So the first question we have, Shaykh, is by Sayyid, who says, my cousin, who is a pilot, is not allowed to fast during flights in Ramadan. Despite this rule, he fasts, but occasionally must show he isn't by drinking water pre-flight. What is your advice on this?
Okay, Bismillahir-Rahmanir-Rahim. Questions like that really they are very important to understand. Sometimes there could be conflict between a personal command of Allah Subhanahu wa Taala, which actually belongs to you as a person, and sometimes there could be a command of Allah Subhanahu wa Taala, which belongs to you, as a part of member of a wider society and a big community. So sometimes personal harms are sacrificed for the sake of, to avoid the bigger harm. For example, like, if somebody doctor, is fasting, and it is, understood that if he fasts, it can affect, his activity, in during operation or something like that, then he will be advised not to fast because to save other people's life. That's more important than his fast. He can do qada later on. So similarly, when somebody is a pilot, it's a big risk. And if it is really advice which is based on some proper medical study that fasting can harm, then the best thing is not to fast while somebody being on the plane as a pilot, especially because your friend or your cousin, if he's on the plane, he's traveling anyway, because it is plane must be going more than 48 miles. So it is a traveler. He's a traveler. So for him it is easy actually not to fast. So I'd advise really that if it is based on a good study, then he should not fast.
Jazakallahu khairan, Sheikh. The next question says, Sheikh, I am a woman in a culture that favors the sons. Since no one owes in-laws anything, if my parents tell me to be good to my brother and his family, can I refuse? Sometimes it's too much, but how not to disobey?
People don't understand really the way our family culture is a very bad culture. It all really negative towards women, and the women are the one who are obliged to do everything, to keep everybody happy. So people have to understand, parents, husband, and all the people around the women, they have limits. They don't have unconditional command over the women. Otherwise, no woman can survive in this world. So parents don't have any, command over their daughters to command her to listen to the, in-laws and this and that. That's unnecessary. Actually, the women have no obligation towards in-laws anyway, except human, relation. Like if they come to your house, be nice, good to them, like you are good to everybody else. But to serve them, to look after them, this is not your duty. If you do, you get it is favor, and you get reward for that. So I don't understand why people are forcing the women. They don't expect the same thing from the men. Nobody said the men should be good to the women's wives, in-laws, and obey them and listen to them. In Islam, really, both are the same thing. The women's in-laws are same as the men's in-laws. If men have no duty, no obligation towards their in-laws, why they expect their wives to have any duty or any obligation towards their in-laws? It is both are same thing. A woman has the same, she has the same relation to her husband's parent as her husband has, to her parent. It is same thing. There is no difference between both of them Islamically. So people should not expect the women, all those things. Leave them. You are living with a family. Then after that, how she behaves with your parent, does she visit them, look after them? It's up to her. If she doesn't want, up to her. It should not affect any relation because it's not her duty. There's no obligation upon her. I think this should be very clear because these types of questions keep coming many times. So, and I've written a book, I don't know when it's going to publish, but a simple matter really is that women don't have any obligation towards their in-laws. Actually, women don't have any obligation in Islam to cook the food of, for their husbands, or clean the house, or wash their clothes. Women, actually, the husbands have duty in Islam to provide food for their wives, whether cooked food or buy their meat from the shops, or give them money, the women can. But women have to, actually, even the fuqaha say, if the wife, if the husband has bought food for wife and she ate it and she left some of the food, husband has no right to eat leftover. She cannot even give that leftover to her guests because that is property and ownership of the wife, her right. So we are basically going our life completely opposite of Islam. If people follow Islam in respect of their wives, most non-Muslim women will love to become Muslims when they see really how much respect Islam has given to the women. But the problem actually in our house is so bad really that women always are suffering, and you know sometimes I feel like I actually said I wrote in Urdu. People are very shocked. I read that wrote in Urdu that the condition in which many women live, if the men have to live in the same condition for a month, they will become mad, mentally ill. They can't survive that. So they force their wives to live in very bad condition. And it's all haram, unlawful thing. One day they will be questioned. Like in the Quran said that the people who bury their daughters alive, they will be questioned. Similarly, all the people who harm the women, oppress anybody, they will be questioned in the day of judgment.
Jazakallah khairan, Sheikh, for that detailed answer. I look forward to your book on this matter, inshallah. We'll move on to the next question by Fatiha, who says, Salam ya Sheikh, what is the wisdom behind the ending of Al-Baqarah with the beautiful dua about...
I can't see it. I can't see the screen. Yeah,
Oh,
can I find? Yeah,
better?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So
What the?
So Fatiha asks, Salam ya Shaykh, what is the wisdom behind the ending of Surah Al-Baqarah with a beautiful dua about self-weakness that needs dependency on Allah, which just before that, the verse mentioned, Allah will not burden anyone more than what he or she can afford. And why is it made the ending of this surah? Jazakallahu khair.
Yeah, Surah Al-Baqarah and Surah Al-Imran, actually, the word ending, both are, most all the surah really, ending is a very important, and also the beginning is very important. When the surah start, Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala makes mind of the people to understand and to act upon all the details that he mentioned in the surah. Then at the end of the day, coming back again, most important teachings of the surah. So it is very important to learn that we cannot do anything, even obedience of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, without the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And even if we do things as best as possible, still it will have many shortcomings, many failures, many problems. So that's why we have to ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala all the time to forgive us. That's why when Abu Bakr Siddiq radhiyallahu anhu, he asked the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, "O Allah's messenger, when I pray and I sit in the final rak'ah and I make dua, what should I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala?" So the Prophet said to him, say Allahumma inni ظلمت نفسي ظلما كثيرا ولا يغفر الذنوب إلا أنت فاغفر لي مغفرة من عندك وارحمني إنك أنت الغفور الرحيم. So this dua I taught to the best person, after the Prophet, the Messenger, Abu Bakr Siddiq. And after the best action, the prayer, is still Allah is teaching him to say, Allahumma inni zalamtu nafsi. Oh Allah, I have wronged myself, so much wrong, I am unjust to myself. And, I did not do things properly, to you forgive me. So that should be the way of believers to say, Ghufranaka, oh Allah, forgive all our sins. We have not done as best as possible. So then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves people like that. We should be humble and humility. Surah Al-Baqarah is great surah, no doubt really. To act upon all the details is not easy, and especially with the fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, with full sincerity, it is, not, for anybody who's not a prophet, it is so difficult. So that way Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has taught us those du'as which can help us to ask our Lord to forgive us, all the shortcomings, and then give us full reward. So this is actually very important. One should see, and all the last page of Surah Al-Baqarah is very, very connected in this matter.
Jazakallahu khairan, Sheikh. The next question is by Fariha, who asks, my name is Fariha. When I started reading Tahajjud 2 years back, I used to have so much khushu, but as time passed, my khushu has reduced. What might be the reason?
Thing is, all the virtues, they depend on the effort. It is not that you have sometimes feeling good mood and you happy with doing something good. That's not actually effort. Effort is that you make intention, plan. Really, I want to obey my Lord. I want to remember everything in my prayer. Then force yourself. That is a real thing, really. That what real khushu is, which comes by forcing. So even if your heart is not feeling anything, your mind does not feel anything, but you force yourself to be present in the prayer. That is khushu. So khushu means that you understand what you're doing, you think about the verses that being read, and that what makes khushu. Some people think khushu means their hearts are moving and tears coming from their eyes, and the mood is uplifted or something like that. None of these are khushu really. These are just mood thing. It can happen by anything. A real khushu is your understanding that you are in front of your Lord and you are worshipping Him, obeying Him, you bowing to Him. And that where khushu comes from.
Jazakallahu khairan, Sheikh. The next question says, Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh. My wife was in a state of janaba, impurity, and before she could bathe, she got her period. Is it permissible for her to bathe for janaba during period and read Quran as she is a Quran teacher?
Yeah, so if she didn't have enough time to have bath and she got the period, then she does not need to do qada of the prayers. But if she had enough time, but she delayed the janaba ghusl until she got the period, that prayer she has to do qada when she is pure. Uh, and during this period, yeah, if she wants to read Quran, so but actually there are fuqaha who don't think really, janaba can stop you from reading the Quran. It is very similar to the Hajj anyway. So many people think that you can read Quran any time, whether in janaba or Hajj, because Quran is book of Allah, so the reminder of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and nobody can start from the reminder of Allah anyway to remember Him. So if she has bath, that's fine. If she does not have bath, still she can read the Quran, understand the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Barakallahu feek, Sheikh. The next question is by Rifat, who says, how can we understand that a sin is major or minor? For example, sharing answers with each other in the examination hall is unfair. Is it major sin or minor sin?
Major sins really are those which are mentioned in the Quran. And among the things that he mentioned in the Quran, very clearly is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said that you must do the amana, trust right. Don't cheat. La takhunu. So Allah has forbidden. Khiyana is the very, the Prophet said, Man ghashana falaysa minna. Those who cheat, they are not among us. So like somebody was selling something and he put some water, wet grain inside. To when they weigh, it become heavy. So it is cheating. So the Prophet says, not from us, not from us beings become like kafir. So it is major sin. So no doubt cheating is a major sin. And cheating could be any cheating. Cheating, something in your religion, cheating something in society, cheating against the state. It's all cheating. So whatever cheating people do, it will be major sin. People should avoid that as best as possible.
Jazakallahu khairan, Sheikh. The next question is about government bonds. So someone asked, government bonds are the safest place to put our money right now as an investment. Is it allowed as bank runs and volatile markets are risky right now? Worth noting that bonds have interest in them. So yes, Sheikh.
Thing is, we have to really understand from the people. I don't know how much interest is there. If there is interest, then it will be a problem anyway. If there's no interest and you share the profit and loss, goes up and down, that could be fine. But sometimes if it is too much risky, it could be like gambling. So you have to find out really how is it. Is there any interest connected to it? If it is, then it will not be allowed.
Yeah, I know with this Sheikh that with a government, most Western government bonds, they're based on interest because it's a loan. You give them money to the government, and they will give you your money back with a percentage on top. But the
Yeah.
Islamic world in the Middle East, they've developed a type of bond which they call sukuk in Islamic finance, which is profit sharing based.
No, no, don't go like that, Khadir. It all, I know the sukuk business, it is just look like that, it all connected to with same thing. So I think, people should be careful, okay, from avoid all these things. Yeah.
Okay, Jazakallah khairan, Sheikh. Next question is by Maryam, who says, Assalamu alaikum. I would like to better understand the concept of iqamatus salah and why in the Quran Allah says aqimus salah and not salli. Is there a difference? Jazakallah khairan.
Yeah, no, there is a difference. Because when it says Salli, it means pray. Iqamatus salam means to make the prayer straight. To something make it straight, meaning is do it properly, like with udu, tahara, purification, if it is time for the jama'ah in congregation, khushu, every single thing that connected to prayer, do nicely. To iqamatus, actually salah, it also means same thing. But iqamatus salah is a reminder of that all the conditions that the prayer should be fulfilled properly. During the prayer, people should be present. Their mind should be attentive to what they read, what they're doing. That what iqamatus salah. It actually includes adhan, includes tahara, purification, it includes jama'ah, it includes also masjid, it includes to face the qibla, it includes all the conditions and all the arkan of the prayer, either mentioned in the Quran and Sunnah.
Jazakallah khairan, Sheikh. Before we continue, a brief announcement. There is 1 week left to our early bird special for our Arabic summer school in Mecca, where you'll be going on a 2 week trip to Mecca and be learning and improving your Arabic in the holy city. And Sheikh Akram will be there as well. The details for this are on the website. And as always, enrollment is now open for our next academic year at Al-Salam Institute. We've got our foundation year, our Arabic immersion year, the Islamic scholarship program, or the all new Quran study program as well. I will share details for these, but you can find the details on the website, inshallah. Let's continue. The next question, Sheikh, says, Assalamu alaikum. I've been told some piercings are allowed if they're part of your culture. So I wanted to ask if a septum piercing, the middle part of the nose, between the two nostrils, I believe, would be allowed as it's part of British/Desi culture. Jazakallah khairan.
These things actually are allowed, for the women. So I don't know if the person who asking question is a man or woman, the piercing the ear or nose, it as long as it is part of the beauty, it's allowed for the women, but not for the men.
Jazakallah khairan, Sheikh. Next question is by Anwar, who says, Salam, Sheikh. Is it allowed to wear cloth below the ankle during Salah? Or since we're wearing clothes below ankle, no longer seen as showing off or arrogance in the culture, is it okay to wear below the ankle?
I think, yeah, most people actually, in the Western country, they don't make a difference between wearing clothes below ankle or above the ankle. They don't find a difficulty, anything arrogance in this matter. So there are fatwas of the people that wearing below ankle is allowed, generally because the reason the Prophet forbade it was sign of arrogant people, Arab people. They used to have in long clothes and pulling, in the streets a sign of their being a master or above everybody else. Since people don't think it is, arrogance attached to the cloth here. So some people say mobile. Still, I will say really better thing is to be careful.
Ahsanallah ilayka, Sheikh. The next question is by Muhammad, who says, what is the importance of the beard in Islam?
There actually again, difference of matter. So some people say, it is allowed, mubah. There are people written book. Some people say it is sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. It is mentioned in the hadith in Muslim Sahih. Things which are from the fitrah. So one of them is growing the beard. So at least it is sunnah. But some people exaggerate, they make it fard and wajib. So there is no proof for that. It is sunnah. If people do it and it seems that it is a beard, they follow the sunnah. There is no limit for any length in Islam. So people have unnecessarily put in all those conditions, how much long it should be. As long as people think it is beard, it is beard because that was language is actually. So it will be sunnah. But if somebody does not follow the sunnah, there are many, many sunnahs people don't follow. So don't become so strict on the people if they miss one or two sunnahs, because most important things are the fard of Islam. If people should do the fard obligations properly.
Jazakallahu khairan, Sheikh. The next question is by Anwar, who says, Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh. In summers, the nights are very short and it's very difficult to pray tahajjud. Will I get the same reward if I pray nafl salah and witr before going to sleep?
Yeah, I know you're right. Sometimes night is very short. So you can do your tahajjud before you go to sleep. So there is proof for that as well. You can do your witr, your tahajjud before you go to bed. And then you get up and do your fajr, inshallah.
Jazakallahu khairan, Sheikh. Next question, we've got a lady who's written a bit of a long post where she says her mother beat up the daughter till she was 12 years old for small things. She would lock her in the bathroom. She was emotionally abusive, controlling. She would spread fasad between the siblings. And now the daughter, she's grown up, has anxiety and depression due to the constant flashbacks of her beatings. To what extent does she need to maintain ties with the mother, and how much is enough?
It's really very bad, really. The mother is the one who's disobedient, Somebody came and complained to Umar about his son, that my son does not listen to me. Umar was very angry and he called the son. And then son said, actually, what my father has done to me. And he all the things he mentioned, and also he named a very bad name. So Umar became angry with the father that you are the one who disobeyed. So this mother actually, I don't understand him because we always give an example of the mothers for the mercy, for the rahm, for kindness, for the love. But I always keep hearing the stories of those mothers who really are very horrible and so much in control. I don't know what they get actually by harming their own children and daughters, and until people become ill and depressed and develop anxiety. So these things are on the day of judgment. Mothers will be asked, because one has to understand properly. Nobody owns anybody. Parents don't own their children. Like I've got daughters, so I don't own them. I'm not owner. They have their life. They have, they're independent. They have their own rights. I cannot backbite my daughter. If I backbite, I'll get sin. Not just because my daughter, I can say whatever I like. I can hurt. I can no. I have to know the laws of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala about that matter. So a mother has no right to beat her children. She has no right to backbite them. She has no right to harm them and hurt them. Anything like that. Actually, she will question the day of judgment. And what she had done with her daughter, very, very bad, really. It should never be allowed. So a daughter like that, she should be away, because if she sees her mother, all her anxiety will come back. So I advise her for the time being, be away, keep distance until your mind becomes sound. Then, or maybe sometimes send some gifts to her because you want to be nice, but don't mix with her so much. Otherwise, all your bad memories will come back.
Jazakallahu khairan, Sheikh. The next question says, I become nervous after making tawba because when I make tawba, my mind says the sin will happen in the future again. Is it from shaitan?
Yeah, it is from shaitan, because sins will happen, yeah, no doubt. Then do tawbah again. Don't listen to shaitan. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will not be tired of forgiving as long as you are not tired of asking to forgive. A simple matter. If you do sin, ask him forgive, he'll forgive. Then again, million times he will forgive. The time you stop asking to forgive, then he will not forgive. Because you are the one who become tired. It is impossible that you ask him to forgive and he does not forgive. What is possible is that you don't ask him to forgive. That's what problem is really. Problem with the people is that they don't ask Allah to forgive. The problem is never that they ask him to forgive and he does not forgive. It never can happen. He always is there to forgive, to have mercy. So don't listen to shaitan. The first thing is don't do a sin. But if somehow sin happens, then don't sit until you ask Allah to forgive you.
Jazakallahu khairan, Sheikh. The next question is by Ali, who says, Salam, Sheikh. How does one deal with excessively worrying about their health all the time and what might happen in the future?
Worries of anything unnecessarily is a problem anyway, because you have to know that you are in the hand of Allah, to trust in Him. Allah, anything can happen. One can die, anything. I'm sitting here, heart attack can happen, anything can happen. Our life is not in our control. We don't know what's going to happen. Even the people who don't have any health problem, they can die. People who have health problem, maybe they live longer. Nobody knows. So, all these anxieties are sign of lack of trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So people should be thinking that our life, death, all in the hand of Allah. Our health and illness, all in the hand of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. To turn to Him, obey Him, and don't do unnecessary problems, for yourself. This is very, very bad manner to leave Allah and just keep worrying about yourself.
Jazakallahu khairan, Sheikh. The next question by Ahmed says, Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh. What are the books of Nahw that should be studied and in what order? Also regarding Sarf, should we teach students the Gardan way or should we use the Arab way of teaching?
Think the Arabic language, people should learn the language properly, readers and all those things, but the grammar should be learned also properly. I don't know if you know my book on the grammar, Mabadi. So I've written one Mabadi in the Nahw, one in Sarf. To learn them, memorize Sarf as in the book. Then in the Nahw after that, you can read Sharh Nada. And in the Sarf after my book, you can read Shad al-Arf. If in Sarf you want more, so there could be, a Shafiya of Ibn Hajib. Its commentary is very, very good. And in Nahw, after Sharh Nada, you can read Mufassal. If you want to do more, then read actually book of Sibawayh or al-Jurjani. Very good, actually. The book of Jurjani is very important. And then you can go to Sibawayh. There actually so much knowledge everywhere. People should learn actually now as best as possible.
Jazakallahu khairan, Sheikh. The next question, also by Ahmed, says, what is the Sheikh's opinion on the Duroos al-Lugha books by Dr. V. Abdurrahim?
I don't know about this book, but there are so many readers in the world. Best thing is that follow the Nahw and Sarf properly, like, my book, Mabadi Sarf, Mabadi Nahw, do properly. Because some people will teach you that, learn a natural way of language, don't need to spend so much time in Sarf and Nahw, like many Arabs do. But then they have always weakness. I meet so many Arabs. They always do mistake in the Sarf and the Nahw. They can't read properly. So much mistakes. People in the past did not do because they used to learn properly. So I advise you, learn language, but at the same time, spend time on the Sarf and Nahw. And for good Arabic readers, there are books like Al-Arabiya al-Nashi'in and some other books. And after that, read Kalila Wadimna and, books of the, good Arabic literary people. It will develop, improve you. But I don't know about this book.
Jazakallahu khairan, Sheikh. The next question says, if black magic doesn't exist, which the person who asked the question completely agrees with, can you explain when Musa Salam came across two magicians who turned their sticks into snakes? And also, what about the ayah in Surah Al-Baqarah 102?
Thing is what people can do, they can control your mind for a while. That happen, like good scholars, good teachers, clever people, they can make you to think a certain way. Sometimes if you come to a clever person, he will make you to think so different from other people. So they can overpower you. So similarly, magicians, that's what they do. So something is like there is a pen. I know it is pen, but they can, make you to think it is a snake or something like that. But just for a while, for a short period. What you need to do is be strong. Don't listen to them, and don't believe in what they say. So the effect will go. But yeah, that's what they did. That's what they did with Musa AS. So Musa AS was scared little because he's also a human being. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made him clear that no, it is nothing. It is just they made you to think it is, but there's no snake. When Musa AS showed them what Allah has given him, that was a proper miracle. That's why all the magicians bowed inside there, because they knew actually it is not magic. Magic does not change anything. It only make people to think. Like philosophers or intellectuals, universities, all these people, they affect your mind, thinking. So similarly, magicians also can affect the mind, how to think to the country, but for short period, not for the long time.
Jazakallahu khairan, Sheikh. That's all we have. That's all the time we have for today, unfortunately. If your question hasn't been answered, please remember it, and perhaps we can aim to answer it the week after next. Jazakallahu khairan, Sheikh, for your time, and Jazakallahu khairan, everyone, for joining. And we'll be back next week. Sorry, actually, we won't be back next week because Sheikh is away, but we'll be back the following week on Thursday at 6 p.m. BST, as always. Jazakallahu khairan. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.